got something hours of sweat on my back's got my shirt soaked and sour. And oh, it's already gone. Second night's coming and I'm spinning back around. We're all caught up, can't hear or feel the sound. And oh, it's already gone. And here comes the feeling when you don't got nothing and all you want to do is get up and start running. You can't hide long cause you know it's gonna start up again. Here's one thing that I know for certain is life's too short to be worrying about you hurting for long. Oh, it's already gone. Got time but money's not something that's free. Seems the roll of the dice never rolls back to me. You know, it's already gone. A bird in my hand, 2 cans in the other, start spinning around. Now here comes another, and oh, it's already gone. And here comes the feeling when you don't got nothing and all you want to do is get up and start running. You can't hide long cause you know it's gonna start up again. Here's one thing that I know for certain is life's too short to be worried about you hurting for long. Oh, it's already gone. And all you want to do is get up and start running. You can't hide long cause you know it's gonna start up again. Here's one thing that I know for certain is life's too short to be worried about you hurting for long. Well, it's already gone. Already gone. It's already gone. Go.
What is up, Jags fans? We are ready to go here on a Tuesday night breakdown, but we're not just breaking down the Jags Falcons film, which we have some good clips, but we're also going to be breaking down the 53-man roster that was released today by the Jags. Don't you love when your regularly scheduled live shows fall on the exact same day that the team has to make their roster cuts? Coincidence? Yes, it was, but I'm happy they did it. Speaking of scheduled live show, Tuesdays and Friday nights, we do live shows every week. Get in here. They're a lot of fun. It's a lot of film breakdowns now that we're in the season. So if you're into that type of thing, looking at film, we kind of get in the film room, the way we try to maybe guess the way that coaches and players would be evaluating film, looking at the things that players do right and wrong sometimes. We usually use the all-22 from the end zone. So it's a great time around here. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe to everything. Like the video if you're here early. We already got a good amount of people here, which I love to see. Probably because of the performance that the Jags starters had against the Falcons backups, which is okay. We'll take it. Like, we needed them to play well and show us they could do it. And they did. So we're super excited about that. I have a decent amount of clips loaded up. Let's see here. I have about 10 clips loaded up. I pretty much took them from the first half when the starters played. But before we get into that, and maybe I'll tag in the comments when the film breakdown starts for those of you that get here just for the film breakdowns, I did want to talk about the 53-man roster and who was cut, who was waived, who got put on the waived/injured list, who got put on the reserve list. A lot of moving parts here for sure. But this is a fan show. So because it's a fan show, I like to get your comments. So get into the comments. If you're someone that watches during the live shows and doesn't comment, just comment. You know, you maybe one or two here. Say what you feel because it adds to the conversation. If you're somebody that watches this on VOD, because all these shows go up on the YouTube channel after the fact for you to rewatch, make sure to leave a comment on something there. So either way, you have something to do. This is a fan show. I'm sorry. You the days of you just sitting back and just consuming content as you veg out are over. All right. Not on this channel. On this channel, you got to get active. So get in the comments. Tell me what you think. Who surprised you that was cut? Who surprised you that was kept? Who are you looking to see now that they're on the team kind of step up a little bit? Something to keep in mind, and I'm just going to say this out the gates up front, is although technically today the roster did have to be trimmed, GMs get like 24 hours to scour all of the teams that were waived players and try to pick up those guys. So within the next day, we'll know if any player got signed up another squad. And another fun fact is, like, unless the player is on the roster next week, like this time next week, I think it's either Tuesday or Wednesday of next week, you don't technically have to pay them. So it's weird. It's kind of strange here. Like when you look at a guy that made the roster, one of these back end guys, like we'll say Tim Jones, Cole Van Lannon, you know, guys that we want to see, Caleb Johnson, that made the Monteric Brown, like they made the roster. But if they're not on the roster by next week, the Jags don't have to pay them. So what that means is the Jags could go get a corner that was waived, cut Monteric Brown, sign that corner, and then Monteric Brown still wouldn't get paid. So although we tend to think, and it's probably true to think, that these are the 53 they want to roll into the season with, you'll probably see a guy here and there that does get adjusted from that roster. So we'll just keep that in mind as we look through the roster of who made it, who was waived, and who got cut. But before we do that, we always get to the comments, and we always shout out the first person in the chat, and that's 100 miles per hour. 100 miles per hour says first. Beautiful. I love it. And what I love here is like the first like 6 people in the chat are all channel members, including 100 miles per hour. Nolly Full Cab spams the Bortles emojis. You can't see him here, but not only does Nolly Full Cab spam the Bortles emojis, he is our channel sponsor as is going forward with his new sriracha sauce, Racha Sriracha. And hopefully you guys went and sold out and bought him out of all his sriracha. I don't have the link below on this video, but go back 2 videos. The link to his is there. It's called Racha Sriracha. You can Google it. I will put the link in Friday's video. I apologize, so that you can click on it and you can buy some sriracha. Again, I vet all the products I pump on this show. Amazing sriracha. I've eaten it on eggs. I've eaten it on chicken. I ate it on a sandwich the other day. It's delicious. It's all around. If you put in like the order comments, like Jags United, then he'll send you a teal label on the Racha Sriracha. Shay, channel member, says, let's go, Jason. Kyle says, RIP T-Shat69. T-Shat69 was a collateral damage cut, but the good thing about him is he probably won't get picked up on waivers, and he probably will be on the practice squad, and he probably will be the first lineman we elevate off the practice squad. He's still around. Still around. It's not on the roster, but it is sad. Good point, Kyle. 100 miles per hour. Why are people shocked that Cook's getting cut? So I went on it hasn't been pushed out yet. I'm going to promote it, I think, tomorrow when they publish it. But these guys, it was called Fourth and Teal. Third and Teal. And they're like 3 guys that are starting up a Jags podcast. And they asked me if I wanted to come on. And I asked them, I was like, hey man, like as long as it's on a Monday night, because I have my show tonight, I have Club Jaguar tomorrow, and then Friday night I have my show again. I Oh, it's on Monday. Like I'll for sure, I'll pop on. So I popped on their podcast yesterday. Some fun guys. It hasn't been pushed out yet, but as soon as it gets pushed out, I'll retweet it on my Twitter, put it on Instagram. You guys can check that out. I brought a little Jags United juice into their podcast, if you know what I mean. And I talked about the fact that I fully expected Elijah Cooks to be cut and Tim Jones to be kept. People are shocked because Cooks was probably the best pure receiver. Austin Tramble, though, that they like. But remember that 6 wide receiver, they want to be a special teams guy or a blocker on run plays. So Tim Jones was kept on the roster as of now, and Elijah Cooks was he waived or was he released? Elijah Cooks was waived. So if he doesn't get picked up on waivers, the Jags can bring him back on the practice squad, which I think is probably their plan. Sea Breacher says, what up? What up, Sea Breacher? Everything's going good. Legend has it. It's been passed down through verbal history that his Wi-Fi is getting installed today. We will see. Jaggernaut says, well, let's see how our team does this year, guys. Excited to watch our Jags play. I think the Falcons game got a lot of people excited. And I get they were playing the backups. But it's one thing to, like, execute against the Falcons, but we perfectly executed against the Falcons, especially in the pass game. Now, the run game looked good. I'll admit, like, I've been brutal on the offensive line. I've been brutal on the run game, but they looked good. I got some run plays clipped where guys did their job. Will that kind of tail off against starters? Potentially. But until I see it not work, we're going to take the optimistic approach here, Jaggernaut. I'm with you here. Celtic Jag says, Steven checking in from Ireland, just finished the late shift. Were you able to make the FSU Georgia Tech game? Because that was quite the shocker, I got to say. But I'm glad you're here, man. We have a lot of international fans on this show. It was weird. Like when I started doing the podcast with buddies, like in 2017, that's how this all started. We noticed we had a lot of traction overseas. Thank you, Shad Khan, in international games. A lot of traction overseas. A lot of fans in Europe. And it was surprising to us, and it's kind of carried over. Like we have a lot of people that comment in the morning when they watch the show because they're asleep right now. And it's cool. So I love the fact that we have fans like all over the world. The fact that I can say, like me, like you guys know me, I'm really honest with you guys. I'm not some guy who thinks more than he is. You know that. The fact that I can say that people watch this show from all over the world, it's kind of crazy to me. I don't know. It's kind of crazy to me. So appreciate it, Steven. Thank you. Celtic, grab a cold one, kick back, and relax while we listen to Immaculate Jags United. Now, I did get off work kind of late tonight. I was still able to get home in time to clip some film. But if you see me taking a sip every once in a while, it's because I got off work late. Okay, so for those of you that watch the show regularly, I try to, talk for a few minutes, and then I'm like, all right, let me take a sip. This episode, I may throw in a sip here and there that seems a little untimely, but it's for the good of the Jaguars. Okay. Thank you for that, Jaggernaut, by the way. Very nice comment. Robert Adford says, LOL, that was the only show that Trevor didn't talk 90% of the show. Thank you for keeping him in check. Is it already posted? Did you see it already? Yeah, you guys know me, bro. I'm gonna keep it real. Did they post it already? Did they? I thought they hadn't posted it yet. All right, I'll go. I'll check. I'll come back to that. I'll check it in a second. It's funny you say that. I wasn't gonna say it. Rated Showgum says, "Hello, what up, Pokey?" And I will say, Trevor's good. Trevor's good. So like, he needs his own spin-off show. I will say that. Like he needs like me and Trevor are a lot alike. We're a lot alike. Listen, I could talk all day. I talk for hours a week about the Jags. Listen, I started a podcast with 3 buddies, and look where I'm at now. Out here yapping about the Jags at least 3 times a week. All right, Celtic Jag says that's the plan, Jaggernaut. SR says big ups. Raw Jeebs, channel member, says nothing left to it but do it. Let's go, Jags. Benjamin says, yo, what's up, brother? Things are going pretty good. This is a busy week for me at my normal job. I'm getting off late every night this week. I might actually have to roll into Club Jaguar like 5 minutes late, but worth it. This is the busiest time of the year for me. I'll get through it. I'm not going to complain. Busy job is better than no job. So even if I wanted to complain, what am I going to do? Sit here and complain about how I have to work to a bunch of people that also have to work? That makes no sense. Ron Beedry says, here we go. Go Jaguars. Fortner still sucks. Okay. All right, I want to get to, we have a lot. Thank you guys for the comments. We're really backed up. I'll read Sea Breachers, and I'm just gonna, in case you're out of the loop and haven't checked it, I'm just gonna read off who got cut. That way we can all be on the same page. I know you guys know already. I'll be quick, but just so we can get on the same page. Sea Breacher says, we come for the film. We stay for the life lessons. Hey. Listen, it's not just me. Robert Atzert brings good life lessons all the time. I'll never forget when he said, happy wife, happy life, right? It was something of that. That's the best life lesson I could ever hear. It was something along that line. All right, here's who got cut. Waived. Here's who got waived. So these guys are eligible to be on the practice squad if they're not signed by another team. Tight end Sean Bowman, cornerback Christian Braswell, which I think was very surprising to a lot of people, and I could probably guess he's a guy that might get poached. Running back Gary Brightwell, who I liked actually, but I get it. Wide receiver Joshua Cephas, which I know y'all are mad about, but he didn't do much. DN DJ Coleman, which a lot of people in the national, local media really liked. I don't know if I was big on him as others, but I get it. He had great plays. Wide receiver Elijah Cooks, which I know y'all are mad about. Cornerback Eric Hallett, who was a pick, I think, last year. It is what it is. Running back Jalen Jackson, which I know some of you guys really like Jalen Jackson. I think he's definitely a candidate to come back. Offensive lineman Stephen Jones, definitely a candidate for the practice squad. Quarterback EJ Perry. Safety Josh Proctor, who I was intrigued about as an undrafted free agent signing because I liked his college film at Ohio State, but I get it. Wide receiver Austin Trammell, who I think is a guy who could potentially get poached based off his preseason film, and offensive lineman Daryl Williams. So those are the guys that got waived. So like they could get picked up or we could bring them back on the practice squad. Waived, injured. Tight end Patrick Murtaugh. Okay. Released, not subject to waivers. Okay, not subject to waivers. Safety, and the reason why these guys aren't subject to waivers is because they're veterans. Okay, so if you're a veteran, if you have the veteran status as an NFL player, you have the ability to sign wherever you want. So like, there's no like waiver claim for Adrian Amos. If like two teams come after Adrian Amos and they're like, hey, we both want you, Amos doesn't have to go to the team who was highest in the waiver priority. He gets to pick because that's what the collective bargaining agreement for the NFLPA negotiated. So these guys can kind of pick if they want to go somewhere. Adrian Amos, tight end Joshua DeGuara, safety Terrell Edmonds, cornerback Trey Flowers, D-end Joe Gaziano, O-lineman Blake Hance, linebacker Tanner Muse, cornerback Amani Ariwai, and offensive lineman Tyler Shatley. Okay, then you got these little weird guys released via injury settlement, which is a kind of a wait-and-see thing. Quarterback C.J. Beathard, placed on reserved, injured, reserved, so they cannot get picked up on waivers or signed. So like they're still on our team. We're still going to pay them. Running back Keelan Robinson, obviously we just drafted him. Safety Dewey Wingard. And then placed on the reserved/suspended list is Tashawn Gibson. And if you think back to last year, that's what we did with Cam Robinson. We placed him on the the reserve suspended list. So everyone else made the team. I'm not going to go through the entire depth chart. We know the depth chart. You guys watch this show a lot. You know who was already on the depth chart. So everyone else made the depth chart. Like I said, still some wiggle room there for a week, but I think 51 out of the 53 are solid, are definitely solid. All right, I'm going to try to fly through some of these comments real quick. How's my Jags family doing? I'm doing good. Kyle, I want to see some DBs step up. What surprised me is that they traded for Travis Gibson, or they traded Travis Gibson. Yeah, I mean, essentially, if you think about it, Balky bought a draft pick, which I think any GM would do because it's hard to get draft picks. So he essentially paid Travis Gibson bought the draft pick, and then traded him. And I think this is obviously like who was the biggest move from this 53-man roster cut. Like, I know he wasn't cut, but he was traded. That was probably the biggest move that surprised people. And I think when you look at the reason why it happened, it kind of makes sense a little bit when you think about the fact that Yasir Abdullah, although slated as a linebacker, is kind of playing with his hand in the dirt every time he's in the game. So is he a linebacker? Is he a D lineman? I don't know. You look at guys like Miles Cole, who've been playing really well. Asezi Otomewo, who I know everyone likes, and I hope he sticks around, but he's might be one of those guys that I think is the 52nd, 53rd player that does get cut for a new guy, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they like him. You look at Arik Armstead's ability to kind of play everywhere on the D line. You look at Tyler Lacey, who they really like. Mason Smith, I think, playing really well was the biggest thing that surprised everybody. Like, we figured he'd be good, but how good he's been, I think, kind of allowed them to have a little wiggle room there. Jordan Jefferson played pretty well in the preseason, and then Jeremiah Ledbetter, I think he's that other guy that potentially could be that 52nd, 53rd guy who is cut for someone else. Maniac Slap says, squad, shit just got real. That's right, it did. That's right, it did. And again, forgive me, boys. Forgive me. It's for your own good. Raw Jeeves says, Kadarius Toney incoming. Not quite. If Urban Meyer was here. And I saw something like Urban Meyer said he wanted Toney, and then he got drafted before ETN. And obviously, it was thankfully we got ETN. How much truth was there to that? I don't know. Urban Meyer never told the truth. So I love how people are like, Urban Meyer's a liar. And you know me. For some weird reason, I like defend Urban Meyer. Not defend him in the fact where I think he was a good coach. I think where I defend him is the things that we hate about him. 99% of us would have done the same thing. Kicking the kicker after he missed a kick, that's funny. Okay, I'm sorry. That's funny. I'm sorry. That's funny. All right. We can still do another trade too. That's a good point. We can still like trade people like Walker Little, right? He could definitely be traded. You look at a guy on the D end, the D line. Like, you could definitely trade, Roy Robertson Harris. You could definitely trade one of these guys for sure. Is Caleb Farley, cornerback from the Titans, worth a shot? He was cut. I think people didn't really like him there. He never really played that well. Another guy, Desmond King, cut by the Texans. Another guy who is a corner that, could potentially be an upgrade. So those would be two names that I would take a look at. They both would be subject to waivers. I don't know where the Jags are on waivers if I had to guess. Sorry, I'm trying to get this last sock off. Okay, now I'm barefoot. All right. Those two guys, Farley and Desmond King, are probably going to be high on the waiver order. And I don't know where the Jags are on the waiver order. So I apologize for not knowing, but I'm assuming there'll be two guys that are swooped up pretty quick. At least for scheme leaks. Adsert asked about Caleb Farley. BT channel member said, real games, here we go. It's been a long 8 months since our pathetic end to last season, feeling somewhat optimistic going into the new season. If you don't feel optimistic going into the season, something's wrong with you. I'm trying to think in my head who's not feeling optimistic. The Giants probably aren't feeling optimistic. The Panthers have probably talked themselves into feeling optimistic. The Bears feel really optimistic. So we look at some of these low-end teams last year. And again, if you're not feeling optimistic, then your team is not doing their job. I mean, again, I was rattling through my head. I'm sure Seahawks fans have convinced themselves to be optimistic. Cardinals fans, I don't know where they stand as far as optimism. I'm sure they've talked themselves into it. The only team that I can think is really probably down bad right now, because even look at the Broncos. They're optimistic about Bo Nix, who I always like to say is only 5 months younger than Trevor Lawrence. Let that sink in for a second. The only team that probably doesn't feel great is the Giants. and maybe they've convinced themselves that their defense is good. I mean, Kayvon Thibodeau is probably going to have a better year this year than he did last year, and he had a good year last year. Good afternoon, lads. Afternoon, brother. My brother in the East Coast. We are at 9:25 p.m. Robert Adzert, Braswell was the shock. Yeah, and that's what kind of led me. I actually tweeted this. That's what kind of led me to kind of think that like Ryan Nielsen legitimately was like, I need my corners in here. Like, I need my guys. Now, Monteric Brown, I know I didn't mention him because I talked about that 52nd, 53rd guy who I could see being moved for a waived player on another team. Monteric Brown might actually be the number one candidate for me for a guy that could be moved. He's yet to do anything that would lead me to believe the coaches like him. Now, his skill set lends to a big physical press corner who can play the edges on the run game. So I think Nielsen does like that. But Braswell showed us it at times from the nickel. They just drafted DeAndre Prince and Jerrion Jones, so you know that Nielsen likes him. They brought in Ronald Darby. You know he's staying. Savage, they brought him in. Daniel Thomas is on the roster, but could be a guy that gets moved because of an injury. You know they like Cisco. You know they like Antonio Johnson. And then obviously there's Tyson Campbell. So just a crowded room. So obviously they like, this is what's surprising. Because again, I think Daniel Jones plays something completely different than Braswell. And Daniel Jones is one of their top special teams players, whether you like it or not. And a good locker room guy. That's some inside info. They like Darnell Savage. They like Ronald Darby. And they like Monteric Brown more than they like Christian Braswell. The proof's in the pudding. Lonesome Not Eye says Georgia Tech. What a game. And I know I'm really behind on comments, guys. Oh, my goodness. Holy crap, I'm really behind on comments. This is what happens when you ramble. Sounds like a nice drink break. Okay. I'm flying through these comments. I know I said that, but I'm actually flying through them. And then, okay, so we'll give it maybe 10 more minutes, and then we'll break down film. So again, if you're watching it on VOD, I'm about to get to it. I'll put it in the comments for the film breakdown people. But I mean, this is topical. This is like this happened today. How are we gonna break down film and then talk about the 53-man roster? 53-man roster. That's on the forefront of our minds. We played the backups for the Falcons, for heaven's sake. F's preseason beat Miami. It was something at least. Yep, they already posted it. All right, I'm gonna at the end of the show. It's third and teal. I had fun. And listen, same thing goes with Racha Sriracha, third and teal. If you guys are doing something entrepreneurially, I think that's the right tense. If you're doing something entrepreneurially, renewal. If you're an entrepreneur and you're a Jags fan and you have a good product, whether it's Sriracha sauce or a Jags podcast, I want you to do well. So hit me up and I will help you by promoting you on this little YouTube channel. I tried the Sriracha sauce before I came on here. I didn't just pump it because Nolly Full Cab is a great channel member. It's good sauce. Third and teal. I watched an episode of these guys are trying to make it. I haven't made it, but I've been where I didn't have a lot of subscribers, and I've been where in their startup era, and I had UCF Jaguar vouch for me, and that was massive for me. So the least I could do is pay it forward. So if you're doing something entrepreneurially, hit me up, dude. I'll pump it if it's good, and you're a real Jags fan. Yo, Jason, made it. How are you doing this evening? Is the water or a nice brew in that tumbler, brother? My brother in Christ, you know good and well what's in this tumbler. And I will say, though, there is some water in it. There is some water. I'm a guy that likes to cut my drink with water. If that gives you any context clue or hint. You actually know stats and facts, not guessing half the time. Stop. Being busy is a good problem to have. Yes. Travis Gibson equals Andre Branch. Prove me wrong. Okay. All right, I got an alert for a super chat, so I'm gonna scroll down to this. Sorry, guys. Benjamin with the $4.99 super chat says, "Go Jaguars, Duval versus all y'all." That's right. We gotta stick together. Thank you, Ben, for the $4.99. You guys know I never listen. Listen. If you're thinking about super chatting for the rest of the show, don't do it. Take that money and buy sriracha sauce. You're going to spend the money anyways. Go support Nolly Full Cab Sriracha sauce. All right? Do it. Are we clubbing tomorrow? UCF Jaguar, you know I'm always going to be there. You know I'm always going to be there. Club Jaguar tomorrow night, Wednesday night. Jordan DeLugo, myself, and UCF Jaguar, who, like I already mentioned him, big shout out to him, 8:30 p.m. Be there or be square. It's a club. If you've ever been to a club, you're going to overpay for a drink. You're going to stand in line, and you're going to stand in the back and not talk to any girls. That's exactly what our show's like. So very topical name. I love it there. The comments are coming in fast. So if I missed your comment, just type it again. There's no shame around here. Waiver order is draft order. Well, thank you, Dan. I'm glad somebody around here knows football because I did not know that. So we would be low on the waiver order. Lamb got a new contract, but if I was him, I wouldn't take it. Bro, you wouldn't take it? I don't know about that. Pokey, you know I love you. Ratings on Twitch. I don't know about that because we need the highest paid non-quarterback. Your goal, it's a job. It's a job. Shay says the Raiders are going to be awful too. That's a good point. We're talking about teams that are being optimistic, but I still think, we talked ourselves into believing in Gardner Minshew. We got optimistic around Gardner Minshew, and then he went 1-16. So I still think they have Brock Bowers. They have a new coach, or is this his second year? No, it's his first year. He was the interim last year. Who's caught me with the emojis? Not me. Daniel Jones, LOL. What's up, Ace? Good to see you. Dan Middlebrooks, the whole crew's watching Jace. Oh. I better watch my. Hey, Dan's the man. He was a little upset. Me and him have a great relationship. Dan's a great guy in my life. There's not a lot of, okay, listen, here's a life lesson for you. And Dan is going to spur this on. If you don't have somebody in your life that you can actually trust and bounce things off of and give you good advice in your life, I can't be the only guy that gives you good advice. I hate to tell you that right now. I'll try, but you got to find someone that in your life, personally, that you can do that with. And Dan always got his head on straight, always giving me good advice. That being said, I'm comfortable saying that we may have had a private conversation where he shed a few tears when we beat the Bucs in preseason. He was he was a little sad. But I think it was in that moment that he realized that the Jags may be the real deal and the Bucs may have been a one-hit wonder. And I think maybe now he's starting to get a little worried about Baker Mayfield, starting to worry a little bit about his team. Again, I'm just reading between the lines. Glad Dan and the crew are here. Kyle, channel member, says, Daniel Thomas, great for special teams, especially with Dewey hurt. I think Daniel Thomas is also hurt, I think is the issue. And I don't think he's as severely hurt as Dewey Wingard, but I think he's still injured. Johnson doesn't seem shifty enough for long term. Bro has insider information on Daniel Jones. That's not what I said. I said inside information on something else. Sea Breacher, get Wi-Fi. Long John Silver 85, who's also a channel member, says, yo. Third and Teal is the name. I don't know what that emoji is. I can't see it, but I hope it's a good one because I like those guys, especially this guy named Mr. Talk. His name was Mr. Talk. I forgot what his real name was, but his handle thing was Mr. Talk. And he said maybe 10 words in the entire hour show. I called him out. I was like, bro, how's your name going to be Mr. Talk? But then he explained why, and it makes sense. He does another show. So DJM says CJ Stroud was the first overall pick in a work fantasy football draft. They're casual fans. I got Jamar Chase at 12th overall pick. Safe to say the championship is as good as mine. If you escape injuries and you're in that type of league, I've been in those types of leagues. They're easy. You're right. Long John Silver, cut it with water. You should chase it with water. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for reminding me. Water with the water in the ice cubes. Yes. You got to stay hydrated, especially in this heat, Florida heat. Lonesome Not I says, UCF Jaguar, I avoid clubbing in Orlando because you know that. Oh, come on. Way to bring our feelings down. Orlando's not bad. It's not bad. I go down there for Magic games all the time. Is the traffic bad? Yes. Is there buildings that never seem to get built? Yes. Does UCF Jaguar live there? Yes. Did the Little League baseball team, Lake Mary from Florida, just win the College World Series? Yes. Right? So there's good things. Disney adults live in Orlando. And you guys know I love Disney adults. So I donated that so you can buy. Thank you, Ben. I appreciate that. Thank you, Ben. Ben's a real one. I just don't want you guys ever to think you have to donate me money. I do this because it's fun. It's a hobby of mine. If I ever started like making significant money, I'd probably start hating it because then I'd feel the pressure to like be good. Like we're 36 minutes in, and I have yet to show one film. This may be a long show, boys. So buckle up, grab yourself whatever you need to get, because this show may be one of the longer ones because I haven't even gotten to the film yet. Lamb gets them Texans taxes too. I thought Texas was a zero. Oh, you're saying that's because Texas is a no state tax state, correct? I could be wrong. Arik and Mason will be interchangeable pieces lining everywhere on that line. Jefferson may play more since he's a more natural nose than Big Ham. That's a good point. I think they'll try to ease Jefferson in, and if we can get Hamilton back to what he was in 2022, we're fine. It's just we're all a little worried about what we saw last year, which is, that's football. What have you done for us lately? Everyone goes through it. Literally everybody goes through it. What are your expectations for Armstead this year? I think he will be very good. I think Jags fans have a little bit higher expectation than what he will produce. Now, I think a byproduct of his production could be eating double teams and allowing Travon Walker and Josh Hines-Allen to get more sacks, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. But I don't know if it'll show up in the sack totals or maybe even the pressure totals. Although I do expect them to be higher than what we got from last year from Roy Robertson Harris. And I do like his versatility to play the 7 technique, the 5 technique, the 3 technique, and the nose if he needs to. I just think coming off of the injury, it's a pretty serious injury. I mean, he had some pretty serious offseason surgery, and him getting a little bit older in age, I just don't know if we're going to get prime Arik Armstead, which is fine. Completely fine with me. Our safety depth at the moment. Well, come on. Let's take a look here. So on the current roster, we have Andre Sisco. Everybody here loves Andre Sisco. Now you have Darnell Savage, who I think he's actually a better safety than he is a nickel corner, which I don't know why this. I mean, I get why the sentiment was that he was going to be a nickel corner because they said he was going to be a nickel corner, but I think he's a much better safety. Daniel Thomas, meh. Antonio Johnson. And here's something else you have to think about is, like, you look at guys on the roster, like, I'm not locked into their positions, like, especially when you look at the team's going to be in man. And when you're in man, you're going to be playing more one high safety, 3 corners. So I think you can get away in our defense with not having safety depth. Like, you throw Sisco back there, he's your safety. We saw plays in the preseason where Jarrian Jones was lined up at linebacker. Darnell Savage was lined up at that strong nickel. And then you had your 2 corners on the field, Campbell and Darby. So, like, they're not afraid to kind of move people in and out. They like Antonio Johnson. But when you look at that one high free safety, Sisco could play it. Savage could play it. I mean, you have Johnson could play it. You have some versatility there. And I think in the scheme that the Jags are running, they don't have a big of a need at safety as people think. And when you look at the trends throughout the NFL, a lot of teams are playing nickel predominantly, and they're either in the big nickel against a heavy formation for the offense, or they're in like a pass coverage nickel where they bring in a third corner. Either way, you can get away with it with one middle of the field free safety. Now, you'll show too high at the snap, but they'll roll into one. So I think the safety concern is something to look at, but I don't know if it's as important, honestly, as corner depth. Because outside of Darby and Campbell, you're looking at guys like Jerry Jones and Monteric Brown. DeAndre Prince, who we don't know anything about. And again, the Savage can play that big corner. So I'm not worried about safety. Thomas was in a walking boot. Yeah. NASCAR package, Walker Smith, Arik Allen. I like that. Bossy GIF. Come on, man. It's preseason. It is preseason. You're right. Maybe we're reading too far into it, Lonesome. Maybe. Harley Morrell says, I spoke with Daniel Thomas at church and can confirm he will be ready week 1. I love Daniel Thomas, dude. Daniel Thomas does these like, I don't know about any other social media. I'm sure he does, but he comes across my TikTok. He does like a daily Bible verse and Bible study. I love that and respect that about him. Awesome guy. Sea Breacher catching strays. Well, he deserves it. Mystery app. That's my bad. I stay away from clubs and bars. This should be this is another life lesson here. Do this. I liked Cooks over Tim Jones. As a receiver, yes. But like I said, I think the team prioritizes that 6th wide receiver as a guy who can play special teams because Tim Jones is actually pretty good at running down the field and making tackles. And for a wide receiver, you don't think that. But he actually is good at that. So that 6th wide receiver, Cooks is a better pure wide receiver, but that 6th guy has got to be a guy that can go down the downfield on special teams and make tackles. And additionally, something that we know they like about Tim Jones, because we saw them do it a lot last year, was they would line him up in these, like, they'd sneak him out there in these, like, bunch formations, and then they'd, like, toss the ball to the outside. And Tim Jones is actually a pretty good blocker. And playing devil's advocate, well, Jason, we couldn't run the ball last year, so that strategy clearly doesn't work. You could make that argument, but I think with that 6th guy, they want that. And Elijah Cooks isn't that. He's a pass-catching wide receiver, and they already have 5 of those on the roster. They have 0 special teams, pure wide receiver blockers outside of Tim Jones. And that's why I think you saw Austin Trammell not make the team. Austin Trammell is a 3rd version of a skill set they already have. They have Parker Washington. They have Christian Kirk. And then you have Austin Trammell, who essentially is the 3rd skill set of that version. So, yes, good player. But we already have 2 of that player on the team. So, if you can get him on the practice squad, one of those guys gets hurt, he's your first elevation. But I think that's why you see it. Is Orlando traffic that much? Absolutely. Bro, Orlando traffic is nefarious for being awful. Like, I don't drive to Orlando because of the traffic. Duval, let's go, boys. Let's go, Kevin. When I went to my trip to Cali last year going through LA, so LA traffic is also really bad. So comparing Orlando and LA doesn't help the case. Jessica Morgan, who is awesome. And when I talk about Dan earlier as being someone that in your life that you can bounce ideas off of and will help keep you accountable, you need people like Jessica as well. And Jessica will also keep you accountable, but in a different way. Like remind you that you need to do things and like keep you on task and help you be a liaison with people at work that aren't that great to talk to. So thank you, Jessica. And I got to say, Jessica, my favorite flavor is Tropical Vibe. It's Tropical Vibe. It's hands down my favorite. I have it on. So I order Celsius through Amazon. I have a subscription that comes twice a week, twice a month, a pack of, it's cheaper that way. Pro tip, comes in the mail. And to be honest, this is not a great admission. Like I go through the pack before the new subscription comes bi-weekly. Don't love admitting that, but Tropical Vibe. If you don't like Tropical Vibe, then I question your taste buds. I really do. Hot take: Tank has facts. UCF Jag. Are you kidding me? You guys ever been to Orlando? Orlando's terrible. Have a drink, Jason. All right, deal. Hey, Jason. Good to see you again. What's up, Ben? Didn't expect to keep so many rookies. Hopefully they're worth it. Definitely excited about Mason Smith, but I'm concerned about edge and interior O-line depth. So interior O-line depth I'll give you because we don't even have any like young guys there that we can be like, oh, maybe they'll be good. Like we know they're bad. At edge, I think Mason Smith will help you there at edge. Like you were excited about Mason Smith. I think he'll help you more at edge than you think. Like we talked about going back and watching Mason Smith's film at LSU, and a lot of his highlight plays happened at the edge. And I get it. Like that's not what he's known to do, but like he's really good on the backside against the run, coming down the line of scrimmage, keeping that outside shoulder free, engaging a block, and then tracking the runner on the inside run or chasing it down from the backside. He's good at creating pressures in the pocket. I think he's going to surprise you guys from that 7 to 5 tech position, which basically means outside guard, outside tackle position, like where you're lined up. He's going to surprise you there. And admittedly, I'm somebody who didn't think I'm someone that wasn't that excited when we drafted him in the second round. I wanted an offensive lineman, which leads me to the offensive line depth, which again, I am worried because Trevor's my number one priority, not edge. Reth Kim says, so is it confirmed? Savage, it's not confirmed. It's not confirmed. I've seen them do so many different things with their defense. Like I said, they played Jarian Jones at weak side linebacker in the preseason. They were in a dime package with Jarian Jones at the weak side linebacker position. So I have no clue what Nielsen's going to do. No clue. Salt or no salt rim on margaritas? Keep it real and fun chat. No downers. Thank you. Me personally, I'm a no salt guy. In fact, I don't say the word hate very often. I hate like pure salt. Like I had a bad experience with salt when I was younger, which I'm not going to get into because I'm already yapping. I had a bad experience with salt. And I know that sounds weird, but if I told you the story, it would make sense. Okay. So I'm a no salt on the rim guy. Titans. Listen, I'm not going to engage in this because it's okay. I will tell you this though. I like Will Levis more than most people do. I like Will Levis. I'm going to leave it there. I like him. Keep that energy, Chesney. I don't know what that means. Oh, I do now. That's Chesney. I honestly, I like Will Levis. Like I've watched a lot of Will Levis and I know he turns the ball over, but his first game, he had like 4 interceptions and then he like played pretty well after that. I actually like his arm strength. I like his ability to move in the pocket and I like the way he can manipulate his arm angle around defensive players. Those are 3 things I look for in a quarterback. I think the AFC South will be the most competitive division in all of football. 100%. I think the Colts will be decent if Richardson can stay healthy. I think the Titans will be decent. Question for the chat. Do Floridians own Florida flags and rep your guys' state shape on merch? I have a hat that has the Florida flag on it, but I think that's the only thing I own with it. I think the Florida flag is kind of sick. Hell yeah, we do. Nice. The only bar worth a dag is the... I can't even keep up with you guys anymore. Most men have Florida State shape. Just that fast, you changed my mind about Tim Jones. See, that's what we do, Long John. That's what we do. That's what we do. Tanks mentally for okay. All right, here's what I gotta do. I'm just gonna come through here. I'm gonna hit a couple here more. I feel like Jacksonville people overrate Orlando traffic because they only go to the tourist areas. Well, I mean, as a Disney adult myself, when I'm taking my fast pass down to Universal Orlando or the Magic Kingdom, I'm so excited about being at the theme park, and the traffic and the lines, they don't even bother me. They don't even bother me. Okay, we got to get into some film here, or people will just never watch this show again. So we're gonna move into some film here. So someone remind me or put in the chat that at 50 minutes we started the film. Okay, will someone remind me of that, please? That would be greatly appreciated here. All right, which play do I want to start with? Let's start with the Trevor Lawrence throws. How do y'all feel about that? Y'all feel good about that? I feel good about that. All right. So here we go. All right, so we have the Jags are in a what we call a 10 gun. Although Evan Ingram's a tight end, we've already talked about this. We're not going through this again. I'm calling this 10 gun because he's technically a receiver. 10 gun, trips, left, tight. See what we did here? 10 gun, that's our formation of tight ends and running backs. I know Ingram's a tight end, but not in this. I'm not calling him that. We have trips out to the left, and they're tight. Okay, there we go. So here we have the Falcons look like they're just playing straight man. That's what you do at the goal line. Typically, they may be playing like I got first guy out, you got first guy in, but maybe they're not. You don't know. That's what the quarterback has to kind of try to figure out, right? So we're in the trips here. The snap here, Evan Ingram running the old-fashioned Texas route. And so typically the Texas route is run from the running back, and the running back runs out, like he's running to the flats, then he comes back in. It's a great play. The Jags have already ran it. They ran it in the first preseason game against the Chiefs with the ETN. But here we're going to see it from Evan Ingram. And he's going to release to the outside, and he's going to kick right back in. And when you're in man defense, which he is, then your only rule of thumb is you can't get beat on the inside. Now, if Ingram gets beat immediately to the inside, then they're going to trade responsibilities. The linebacker's going to take Ingram, and the corner's going to take the running back to the flats. Okay, so they have it worked out in case this happens. This is why this Texas route works really well, because once he releases to the outside, he's like, okay, I got Ingram and I got ETN. But joke's on you, I'm still going to beat you to the inside. So what does this require out of the offensive line and the quarterback? It requires a little bit of time. You can't have immediate pressure because it does take a little bit of time to run this route. And it takes a good throw from, I almost said Patrick Mahomes. A good throw from Trevor Lawrence here. All right, so let's take a look, and we'll see it from the end zone. 32 actually kind of bails into underneath coverage. This is kind of tricky here. This was almost a good play by the Falcons because they're going to walk down their safety here to look like he's blitzing, and then he's going to bail out and play this middle of the field zone. Not a bad play call by the Falcons, honestly. Like, they actually kind of guessed right with their coverage and what they wanted to do. This was executed pretty well by the Falcons, which you can expect most NFL D coordinators and teams to do. So now what this requires is you don't need as much time from the offensive line because you're only blitzing 4, but now you really need a good throw from Trevor Lawrence. Okay, because you're going to watch this safety. He's going to drop right into this middle of the field zone. Great job here. I mean, that's the perfect. I mean, I'm sorry. I want to show the end zone and the throw, but this was a great route concept because this and the timing is perfect. This is perfect timing. When he goes out here, he goes far out just enough to when he does cut back in, this zone dropper here is not in position. So now the question is asked, if you're a D coordinator, because we're critical thinkers, if he would not have sold out so much on the fake blitz, could he have gotten to that zone faster? Yes, and maybe. Okay, again, sometimes it's rock, paper, scissors. Great throw, great catch. When we see it from the end zone, you're going to see it even better here. To the right of your screen, I don't need to circle him. That's perfect. That's actually good defense. Like, I'm not going to lie. It's actually good defense. That throw, like when you're coaching defense, and especially the secondary, what you say is nothing stops a perfect throw and a perfect catch. That's the difficulty of playing corner. That's why you see these corners fall off so quickly or not make it when they're drafted high. And when you look at like the entirety of the cornerback position, it's typically like 1% that actually have sustained success. And so when you take a look here at this throw, this is a perfect throw and a perfect catch. It's where only Ingram can get it. I mean, that's perfect. And Ingram has to snag it. I'm see if I can pause it right when he catches it. Bam. I mean, that's perfect. And then now he's got to get both feet in bounds. Bam, bam. I mean, that's perfect. Absolutely perfect. Dad? I hope not. Lawrence has laser vision. Definition of a dot. Eat your heart out, Will Levis. I'm just saying I like Will Levis. I would no way trade him for Trevor Lawrence. Stop. We need this from Evan the whole year in the red zone. I know. The lack of touchdowns from him last year was weird. I'm not going to say concerning, but it was just weird. Hot take, ETN left 500 yards receiving. That would be a lot. I think they'll probably try to use him in the run more than that. But I think it'd be close. I mean, what do you have? He had like 4 something last year, didn't he? Saw 2 stutter steps from the defense. All right, let's move on to the next touchdown pass. And you guys already know which plays these are because you watched the game or the highlights or whatever. All right, so now we have his second touchdown here. And this one's actually my favorite. Okay, this one's actually my favorite. So I have one critique to this play, and like I can't even make it. And actually, I'll save that argument for the end. Okay, so here we have the Jags and 11 personnel. We'll call this 11 rather than 10 because we actually have Ingram lined up as an inline tight end. Okay, before you remember, he was lined up out here. And if he's a tight end, you could still call it 11, but because Ingram is such a threat as a receiver, if I'm a defensive coordinator and I see Ingram lined up off the line of scrimmage in what we call a Y tight end or a move tight end, I'm declaring him a wide receiver. I am. Like, we can live with him run blocking. I'm not saying he's bad, but he's definitely only good at blocking corners and safeties. He's not necessarily going to blow out a linebacker or a D lineman. So we are true 11 personnel here, and we call this trips right. Trips right, out to the right. They may call this, some D coordinators would call this trips right tray. Okay, and what a tray means when you throw that word tray on is that just means that your tight end is the only receiver on the other side of the ball, and he's lined up on the line of scrimmage. Okay, so basically by saying this, you can get an idea of their formation without looking at it. Now you know exactly how the formation looks. And if you wanted to get super technical, since ETN's lined up to the tight end side, trips right strong. Okay, so 11 personnel, trips right, tray strong. This would be how you would call this formation, because now we know the running back's on the same side as the tight end, which is the left, because the trips are to the right, and you have trips out to the right. The more you know, right? Okay, so what you're going to, again, keep your eye on here is Evan Ingram. Evan Ingram is actually going to beat this man coverage here, and forgive me, I don't know if it's this guy or this guy. Once we watch the play through, we'll know. He beats one of these guys with like a stutter step. He goes out, in, out, in, out. Okay. And again, this is just a great route run. He does this super fast. And we'll play it through and you can see. Okay. Now I have to go back to my whole. This is not my formation. This is what we would call 11 personnel. Twins right. Because we got twins out to the right. Motion. Okay, because now they got Brian Thomas Jr. in motion across here. So now you know what's happening. I mean, just abused. Watch it again from this angle, then watch it from the end zone. Watch Evan Ingram. Anytime you make somebody fall, that's a good route. Now watch it here again. You won't see the top of the route, but you'll be able to see his stutter steps here. Okay, watch this. Now my critique here would be, and again, it's not even a real critique, is by his stance here, if I'm a defensive player, I know he's running a route. Look how much weight he has on his hand. He has almost no weight on his feet. So there's no chance he's coming to block. There's no chance he's kicking out and pass protecting. No chance. But I can't really critique it because it worked. Okay, so watch his route here. Watch it again. It's beautiful. I could watch this all day. I post this on Twitter because that's how much I loved it. Look at the stutter steps he gives him. The defensive player has no idea where he's going. Absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Trevor stared him down. It didn't matter. Like, the timing was so important on that play that it was fine, and it worked. That's a real quick route, though, Robert. Yes, exactly. That's exactly my point. That's exactly my point. All right, let's move on to another play here. How about the Brian Thomas Jr. catch? You guys like Brian Thomas Jr., right? All right, so here we are. I do want to point something out here. And again, I'm sorry for yapping so much. Ingram hungry with Gabe Davis coming in. Steel sharpens steel. I think Ingram's only going to, I wasn't sure with Ridley how to feel. If you would have asked me in the preseason how I felt about this receiving core from last year to this year, I would have probably told you that last year's core was better. But then after watching how Trevor Lawrence uses Gabe Davis, Brian Thomas Jr., I think his progression's a lot faster than we thought. He did have that drop in the end zone, which I didn't clip, which was a great throw. But the way this play here, you're going to see, and then Christian Kirk coming back to full health, how does Evan Ingram not improve from last year? Now, will his catches be, like, what was he, fourth amongst all players in catches last year? No, it probably won't be there in catches, but in yards and touchdowns, I think you're going to see a significant bump in the yards and touchdowns from Evan Ingram. I see Robert's nose hairs. Today at work, I was like, I was just like sitting there. I felt a little itch in my nose, and like I like reached into my nose and I like grabbed a nose hair and just like yanked it out, and I just like was holding in front of me this long ass nose hair. Has anyone else done that? Am I the only one that's ever done that before? Like legit was staring at a long nose hair that I had plucked from my right nostril. Maybe I'm the only one. All right. So here we're going to watch Brian Thomas Jr. All right. I'm going to play it through just because I can't really remember what the route concept is. I'm not going to lie. All right. So this is impressive here. All right. So look, here we're going to see too much information. Here we're going to see Brian Thomas Jr. And again, he got critiqued by Jimmy Smith for standing up too straight and not having his hands up. Like, again, look at the difference between Gabe Davis and like his stance here. Look how much weight he has on his front foot, and like he has like maybe 10% weight on his back foot. Brian Thomas Jr. has got like a 50-50. So Jimmy Smith didn't like this, but I was told by somebody in the chat that this is the way that LSU taught them to line up. Okay, big difference in the. I would prefer him, and I've never coached in the NFL, if you didn't know. I'd prefer him to be more lined up like this because this helps you with your release. It helps you get off the line of scrimmage faster. However, still works. So here we're going to see like a deep dig, which he's like a master at now. Maybe called a deep drag, however you want to call it. But what's interesting here is they're in a 2 tight end set under center. And I believe this is Evan Ingram under center. I could be wrong, but under at the offset eye. So this is what we call ace. So ace, when the quarterback's under center, a lot of coaches call it ace. We call it offset eye because we're in an I formation, but he's offset. We call it. There's 2 tight ends, but he's a back. So you could call this however you wanted to. If you're a coach, you could call him a back. You could call him a tight end. I would say for the sake of this play, that's the thing though with Evan Ingram, he's such a receiver. It's so hard. So normally you would call this 2 backs in the backfield, but because Evan Ingram is like strictly a receiver, if he's lined up in the backfield, I'm going to call this 2 tight end set. So I'm calling this 12 ace offset eye, tight right. That's what I'm calling it. All right. So here you see Brian Thomas Jr. here. I think he runs a deep post, and then someone leaks out. I don't know if it's him or him. Someone leaks out as like a little safety valve. So take a look here. It's ETN that leaks out. And what I like here is watch this little move that Brian Thomas Jr. does on the defender here. Watch this. It's quick. It's that quick. Boom, boom, boom. See you, bud. Let's see if we can pause it right when he does it. Beautiful. Beautiful. That's what you want to see. Right there. After camp, this is from Shay, and when Shay talks, we listen. Just trust me. After camp, Baselli and Pete Prisco think Brian Thomas Jr.'s ceiling is Jordan Jefferson or CeeDee Lamb. They weren't saying that before camp. He must have progressed quick. I agree. And here's what gave me a little bit of hesitation about Brian Thomas Jr. And maybe I'm reading too far into this. But the fact that Balky was willing to trade down made me think that like he was okay with not drafting him. Are you following my logic here? Like if he like identified Brian Thomas Jr. as like the guy, then he would have picked him at our original pick. But he traded down. Now, unless he like was somehow super confident that like the other teams in front of us after we traded down weren't going to draft Brian Thomas Jr. But how could you know that? Especially with the smoke and mirrors that GMs put up. That's the thing that gave me like a little bit of hesitation at first. But he looks like the real deal. And again, maybe my logic's flawed there. I don't know. Did your nose hair have any gray in it? It did not. And I'll be honest with you guys. I got a little bit of gray coming in my beard. I'll be honest with you there. But the nose hair did not. Inquiring minds. I always drop one tear when pulling a nosy, like a native looking at litter. I'm going to incorporate like a native looking at litter at some point in my conversation this week. That might be the comment of the day right there. The spin move on BTJ's catch is nice. Oh, Maniac saw it coming before it happened. BTJ is so smooth. Cooked his ass. The kid is going to be killer. Who's going to produce more fantasy points, Kirk Davis or BTJ? I think Kirk, if healthy. I think Davis and BTJ will probably give you equal value. If I had to guess, again, I have no crystal ball. I never try to like make claims. And you guys know this. I don't predict wins. I don't predict yards, because people that do that, they just cherry pick when they were right. And they're like, I told you that this was going to happen. Well, it's like, well, what about the other 10 things you told us that you just happen to not bring back up? So everybody does that. It's a human flaw. I'm just saying. That's why I stay out of that arena. Kirk, if healthy, Davis and BTJ probably giving you the same if both healthy. Malik Neighbors has to be so jealous of his college buddy's quarterback. It's a good point. It's a very good point, Sea Breacher. Just like Sea Breacher's jealous of me when he watches me drop a 35 bomb on Counter-Strike. And he's like, man, I wish I could do that. I wish I was that skilled. Which leads me to my shameless plug. My Twitch is in the video description. If you want to see me dominate some kids on Counter-Strike and whatever game's popular at the moment, check out my Twitch. I'm on there. Any night I'm not on YouTube, I'm typically on Twitch. And I don't interact with the chat as much because I'm locked in on dominating. But Sea Breacher's there sometimes. Not so much lately because, he can't get Wi-Fi. Cam Boysvert, channel member. In the One Hunt episode, it showed there was a few people he was comfortable with drafting at that spot. That's why he traded back. Okay. Good point. That's so true, Sea Breacher. That comment. BTJ looks legit. I'm so ready for a drafted wide receiver to be a stud. I mean, have we ever had one at all? LOL Blackman. Allen Robinson was pretty good, right? Allen Robinson was pretty good. Yeah. There we go. Duval TV says Eagles, Dolphins, Steelers, Rams, Bengals. The picks leading up to us, you're right. You never know with the smoke and mirrors, but those teams seem pretty happy with their number one wide receivers. So the Steelers and Rams maybe get a little scary for me, but I think you bring up a good point. again, and that was just initially was my thinking as a GM. Like, okay, if you love this guy so much, you're going to trade back. You're not going to know you're going to get him. If you loved him that much, you're going to draft him where your pick was. You're not going to accumulate when they get like a fourth. With this core, Brian Thomas Jr. will have 3 catches a game for 90. Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I think that'll be, I think 90 is a little high, but like, I think it's the average will be like 3 catches for like 65. And he'll have games where he goes off for more than that. And he'll have games where he like kind of disappears because they use Ingram and Kirk, and Gabe Davis kind of pops in every once in a while. So I think you're right. The yards might be a little high, but I get it. Matt Jones, I do like Matt. Hey, Matt Jones is S tier. If you watch my wide receiver tier rankings, Matt Jones got an S tier. Lumen Red Corn. I missed that. Oh, this is Chesney. Okay, I should have known. Yeah, A-Rob was legit. You're right. Aaron cut by the Giants today. Ouch. A-Rob. Oh, I didn't see that. Steven Giles says a lot of people wanted us to draft Jackson Powers Johnson, but it seems like Balky wanted to get a proven vet for that position. Yeah, and there was a couple other dudes that were there that I would have been okay with taking too. Because again, I've said this a billion times. I think Trevor elevates the guys around him, and I would be okay with like a subpar receiving core and protection with Trevor. All right, let me just show you. We'll just stay with the offense here. All right, here's a Parker Washington catch. So Parker Washington had a couple good catches here. We're noticing the Jags really like this route here, and this is kind of a newer thing with offenses. Okay, so what it used to be was what was called like a levels concept, where you basically would put, this is just a different version of the levels concept. So the Falcons are obviously playing one high safety here. So basically what you want to do is you want to put this corner in a position where he has to pick between, is he going to bail out and get the deep receiver, or is he going to play the route that's in front of him? Okay. It's a very common route concept. There's different ways to do it. You have the bench concept, which looks like this, looks like a bench. You have the smash concept, which is a hitch in a corner. There's different ways to do it. And what you're seeing now in the NFL a lot is this like levels concept, where the one receiver, so we read left to right. So this is 1, this is 2, this is 2, this is 1. So the one receiver on the left side, where he runs like a shallow in, and then the 2 receiver runs like a deep out. And this puts, again, your corner in a bind because he's got to pick. Does he take the end that's in front of him, or does he kind of guess that there's a route happening behind him and gain depth? Okay. Now, the safety really has no shot here. This nickel has no shot on a perfectly run out route. So that's what you're going to see here. Parker Washington on the deep out. You're going to see a shallow in here. This puts these guys in a bind because you can't really pattern match this, because in a pattern match concept, I know this is kind of minutia and dense for you guys, and I'm not trying to undersell what y'all know, but I just maybe over explaining it is always why I'm saying it. When you pattern match, basically he takes first guy in and he takes first guy out, which is like a palms coverage, another name for it. But when you actually get depth on your in and depth on your out, it makes that palms pattern match concept tough to do. So this is why you're seeing a lot of NFL teams do it. So that's what you're going to see here. Perfectly executed. Perfectly executed. We'll see it from the end zone. And your boy, this is what makes Trevor elite. And this is like the little things that Trevor like doesn't get credit for unless you look at like advanced analytics passing percentage under pressure. But your boy Brandon Sheriff gets absolutely dogged on this play. This is me drawing a dog with a tail. He gets absolutely dogged on this play. All right. Brandon Sheriff just does not give Trevor a shot, but Trevor he keeps his pocket integrity, meaning like he keeps his like balance with his feet. Like what? I mean, this is what makes Trevor elite, dude. And this is what the stats won't show. But take a look at this. Like, that's not a great angle. You never want, and this is what I'm talking about. You want your lead foot So if Trevor's right-handed, you want your left foot aiming toward your target. That's quarterback throwing 101. Set your feet, aim your hip at your target, and follow through. Those are like the golden 3 steps of throwing a pass as a quarterback. Look what Trevor has to do because Brandon Sheriff can't block a freaking pony coming through the line. Okay? Because of that, Trevor's lead foot is aimed to the opposite opponent's coaching sideline. His hip is also pointed there, yet he's able to make the throw off balance perfectly. Those are the things that Trevor does not get credit for. And we watch Trevor and we're like, we know he can do this. But people like stat readers and numbers readers are like, oh, well, his stats say this. Well, the dude makes throws with his shoulder, hip, and knee facing the opponent's sideline, and he throws a dot on the out route. It's ridiculous. Is Gabe Davis better than Zay Jones at football? I think they do different things. That's a good question, though. I think you're going to see some parts, like when you look at the end of the day, the stats and touchdowns and all that, I think they're going to be equal, but they do it in different ways. Agree. Protect Trevor at all costs. Absolutely. Yes. Better not. I have nothing to say to that. Nice to under pressure. I'm confused. Can you explain to me like I'm a third grader? Thanks. Okay, here's how I can explain to a third grader. If you don't have Wi-Fi and you're using a hotspot to watch this video, you probably should grow up and be an adult and figure out how it takes less than 3 weeks to secure an internet connection at your house. Was that good enough for a third grader? That's how I would teach a third grader how to get internet. Facts, dude. Sheriff got to do much better. Come for the Jags, stay for the personal grooming stories. Sliding in the pocket. I love it. I love it. Sheriff sucks. Trevor has plenty of experience with instant heavy pressure. Good point. Honestly, that's why I wanted us to draft O-line. Yeah, me too. But I like the Brian Thomas Jr. and the Mason Smith picks. So at this point in the season, at this point as a Jags fan, if you're not going to improve the O-line, they upgraded the D-line, what looks like significantly with Mason Smith, and they upgraded the wide receiver room significantly with what looks like Brian Thomas Jr. That's why Trevor fumbles a lot. Those national guys don't watch our tape. They have no idea what 16 can do. Great point, Robert. Channel member Robert. National guys just yap, and glaze Mahomes. Damn, dude. Low blow. Hot spot life. No. Don't take that personally. That attack was designed specifically for Sea Breacher and no one else. Is anyone tailgating the Jags-Dolphins game? I'm actually flying this time with friends and looking to hang out before. Dang it, dude, Cam. Cam's like the best fan at going to games, like because he doesn't live near Jacksonville yet. We're trying to talk him into it, but I'm not going to the Miami game. I'm sorry. Sea Breacher's asking for it. Gabe Davis isn't suspended. He was talking about Zay Jones. He was talking about Zay Jones. All right, what else we got loaded up? This is like my favorite play, although it's not like exciting, and the team actually Yeah, this is my favorite play, although the team didn't gain very many yards off of it. But this is the kind of thing that I get excited about. And we're going to we're not going to talk about the formation. We're not going to talk about the defensive coverage. We're just going to watch Anton Harris on this play. That's all we're going to do. And I'm going to play it through and not say a single thing. I'm going to hold my tongue. And we're just going to watch Anton Harrison, once from the sideline and once from the end zone. And I'm not going to even mention a single thing. I'm going to move on to the very next clip. That's how much I love this clip. And all you need to do is you'll need to just watch this and you'll know why I love this clip. There you go, boys. Nothing needs to be said. Nothing absolutely needs to be said. That's it. D. Steiny says, wow, I'm late as hell. Yeah, you are an hour and 20 minutes late. But I will say, we have more viewers in here now than we've had all show. So maybe the secret to success is to just talk for an hour and 20 minutes. Maybe that's the secret to success. Can we get a Jags United locks for the season? Most touchdown yards on the team? All right, you guys know I hate doing this, but because Zoe asked for it, and I don't know Zoe. I actually can't remember last time. I can't remember even a comment Zoe's ever made, but I have this like connection with Zoe. I don't know why. I feel it in my soul. I'm going to give you a lock on touchdowns and yards. I think we're going to see a completely different script from the offense as far as those stats go. And I'm going to say the most touchdowns from a receiver go to Evan Ingram. And I think the most yards go to Christian Kirk. Benjamin, we got Mac now for... God dang it. I hate y'all. I hate y'all so much. I hate y'all so much. C. Breacher can be the backup after seeing his 20-step drop. Robert remembers our life lesson show. And C. Breacher showed us his drop back. And you know what? I was taught if you didn't have anything nice to say, don't say it at all. So I'm just going to not say. Go back and look at the life lesson show. Find the C. Breacher moment and watch his simulated drop back. What if Mac Daddy wins? Hey, it worked for Philly, so maybe it works for us. Like seeing Trevor get pumped and aggressive, maybe he can finally motivate someone to make a sandwich. I like it. Love food with Tom's playing our run game this preseason. I'll rewatch it. Thanks, D. Steiny. You should. I think it's been a good show. Agreed. I can throw a few bubble screens. Yeah, right. Mac Daddy Jones goes to Disneyland. I haven't liked any of Chesney's comments. That one's pretty good. Lonesome Not I says ETN will have the most yards, which, again, I think it's a little easy to say. That's why I specified wide receivers and not running backs, because all-purpose, I think ETN obviously has it. Travis with score on that same play 99 out of 100 times. Harrison is a pancake block machine. Would. Travis would score. Steiny, you're right on time. Exactly. Just say it. Can we get 4 more Anton Harrisons? Yeah. That would be nice. All right, let's keep it with the offense. Okay, here's another catch from Parker Washington. Again, you guys know the formations here, although I will point out that this was the first and I think only time we saw Duvernay do this little, again, depending on the coach, you could call it whatever you want, but some coaches will just call this an orbit motion. Some coaches would call this a reverse orbit motion, but basically Duvernay comes in motion to the opposite side of the strength and then runs back to the strength. So call it what you want. Just don't call me for fronts. So here we go. Now, there's a lot of good things about this play. I love the play action, and the offensive line actually did, and one thing I didn't point out, and I've been very critical of the offensive line, they did very good on the play actions. I will say that. And when you can run the ball, which I'm going to get to here in a second, it makes it a lot easier. So maybe there's a little something to that. But they're going to run a play action to, I'm going to call it the strength, even though we're on the hash to the boundary. I'm going to call it the strength because you got a lot of guys over here and you're running back over here initially. So I'm going to call it the strength. So they run a strong play action. And they're going to just flood the right side of the field and put Trevor in a rollout. Basic concept. I love it. When you can run the ball, you can do this. So look at the play action here. This is what happens when you can run the ball. And maybe it's because you're playing the second team defense. I don't know. Maybe one of the two. But look at how many Falcons players are on the opposite side of where the play is designed to go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'd call him 7. I'd call him 8. So 8 of your 11 are on the wrong side of the field. That's what you want. Okay, he's in a compromised position, as is he. So now they're going to flood Parker Washington here. They're going to do a levels concept here and a levels concept here. So now Trevor has a 3 levels concept to read, and he's actually going to choose the most difficult throw. But when you're Trevor Lawrence and you can make this type of throw, you can do it. You watch this from the reverse angle and watch the slide cancel by Parker Washington. Whew. That's sexy. That is sexy right there. Oh my gosh, that window. That window. Your window's here because he's running. So you can't throw it here. He's running. So your window is like here and he's here. This is your window. This is your window. Look where this ball goes. Slide cancel. Another thing that you may not pick up on this, whereas someone that's had experience coaching, I'm not going to gas myself up like I'm some sort of supernatural coach. But one thing I did notice about this that may have gone unnoticed is they actually ran this reverse orbit motion with a play action and didn't hand it off, which leads me to believe that in their playbook, they have a play designed where Devin Duvernay does do a reverse orbit motion and he does get the ball. So let's just take a look at how that would look from the sideline. So if he gets the ball here, because you know they don't do anything unintentional. So if they're running the reverse orbit motion, they have this play in their playbook. If he were to get the ball, Cam Robinson looks like he's kind of off balance, sealing this block here, which gives me a little bit of reservation, but everyone else looks good. So if he can hold this block, this reverse orbit motion jet sweep, if he gets this block, he'll probably crack sides this block. I mean, it basically comes down to him meeting him there. I mean, that's a solid 8 to 10 right there. So, food for thought. Food for thought. C left. Straight as an arrow. That's the same throw from week 1. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Slid it right in there. That was Trevor's best throw of the preseason. He had another one kind of like that in the Chiefs game. But he's overpaid. Exactly. Titans fans of the chat, get ready to be picked apart by T-Law this season. Thank you, Steven. That's a good point. If they ever do give him the ball, they should run that play from the right hash to give him more space. That's a good point. Dude has a cannon for an arm, laser vision, and elastic limbs, and they still hate on him. Well, his stats are the same as Daniel Jones. Get out of here. Yeah. Walker Little and Cam in last year of their deal, who gets traded? I think there's a chance Walker Little gets traded within the next couple of weeks. If he doesn't, I haven't seen enough out of Walker Little. I wanted him to be the guy where we could let Cam walk and we could cut him next year and save, I think, like $12 million on our cap. But Walker Little just hasn't shown it for me. And Cam hasn't been as good as I was hoping either, but I still think Cam's better. And Cam does bring that nastiness to your offensive line. So it would be hard for me to predict in this moment right now. But where I sit right now, it seems like Cam is a much better left tackle. Now, do they try to move Anton to the left? I'd be cool with that. But between those two, Walker has not done enough. And he's gotten the chances. It's not like, oh, he hasn't gotten the chances. And the people that say he played well in those first 4 games that Cam was out, I mean, he was okay. The offense did well. I don't think he necessarily was okay, but I don't know. I think they just keep, I mean, left tackles are hard to find. I say this all the time. There's 3 positions where you either have one or you don't. Quarterback, you either have one or you don't. D end, you either have one or you don't. And left tackle, you either have one or you don't. If Cam just is Cam, I think he's still a bona fide left tackle, and he's better than most options out there when it comes to draft or free agency. And if we have the success that we hope, the Jags won't be drafting high. I think you look at just keeping Cam on his deal. There's a lot of variables there, like how he plays this year, his injury history. He was hurt for a lot of games last year. I get that. But I'm okay with Cam. I really am. Hot take, Walker leads the D with sacks. I mean, if they end up double teaming Josh Allen and leaving Walker one-on-one, he most definitely will. But here's the thing there, and that's like why I pointed this out to you guys when we've broken down the film last year, is like even with Josh Allen absolutely eating with sacks, they still double teamed Trevon Walker. Like something about his gameplay, maybe how he plays like a defensive tackle. Opposing offenses double team Trevon Walker more than they double team Josh Hines Allen. So I don't know. We'll have to see. Love the play when Anton is mauling defenders out of his way. Not a hot take. That's realistic. Anton just swallows those men like it's nothing. We really need to trade for a corner. I mean, if they like what they have in Jarian Jones, DeAndre Prince, they won't. If they're not impressed, they will. Shay, channel member. Jason, will we see Trevor under center more this year? Heard someone talking about it. If it's true, I think it's I'd have to look it up, and I'm just going off of anecdotal evidence, meaning like what I've seen. It seems like he was under center a lot. And like Shay watched all the games too. Was he not under center a lot already? Like the couple of plays that we've clipped here, he was under center. So yes, like it's play action because they're expecting the run, but I don't think so. I don't think so. We have Timmy Devil in the chat, an hour and 30 minutes in. I'm blown away, boys. Timmy Devil is one of my favorite commenters. I wish he was here more. Timmy Devil brings me back to earth and allows me to play devil's advocate and allows me to critical think. Those are three things I really value in people. Like if you can bring me back down to earth when my emotions get too high, valuable. If you can make me critically think, valuable. If you can allow me to play devil's advocate on a point of view, I don't care if it's football or politics, valuable. Glad he's here. Walker Little may be out of here, and you're keeping Foster at a guard or center. Again, Foster's another guy that like we wanted to see more out of, but he's so young, like we're okay with it. So we're in this weird middle spot where like we don't want to get rid of Walker Little because if there is an injury to Cam Robinson or Anton Harrison, you have a really good depth piece in Walker Little, whereas Foster potentially could be a liability. I don't know. Cam is going to miss a few games for whatever reason. Yeah. Honestly, like I agree, Maniac. I agree. That's a good point. Walker Little looks like he works at Chick-fil-A. Hey, why are we hating on Chick-fil-A workers? They're the nicest people on earth. Okay. Big difference in attitude for sure. Do you think Anton? I think so. I do think so. And it makes sense to do it next year because of the contracts. Like I said, you could get out of the Cam Robinson contract, you can get out of the Walker Little contract next year, and you could move Anton over to left tackle for 2 more years on an extremely cheap deal. And if you can get a good left tackle on a rookie deal, that allows you to go add other places with your salary cap that initially we couldn't do this year because of the Cam Robinson contract. Cam Robinson's like legitimately, I think either first or second. Well, Trevor's first, but like after Trevor, he's one of the first or second highest paid players on our team. So if you can comfortably move Anton over to left, now you're freeing up that cap room to go get a baller corner next year, or you can go get a baller interior offensive lineman. Draft the right tackle that's good in the first round because right tackles aren't really taken in the first round. So you can take one in the first round that's a really good. So there's a lot to think about there, but we just can't really go through that thought experiment until the end of the season. But I like your hypothetical, Sea Breacher. I like your line of thinking. The Duval dive. Okay, so a little. We're an hour 35 in. I have to. I'm gonna go big screen for. I'm gonna big screen for this. So, Travis Holmes is hands down one of my favorite Jags content creators, and we had lined up doing a show Friday night after the Jags game. I was looking forward to it all week, and I had to cancel on him because the rate at which the Jags game was going, the Jags game wasn't even going to get until the fourth quarter until like 10 p.m. And looking at the viewers now, like we have more viewers right now than we've had all show. So maybe I was wrong here, and I'll take admission. I take ownership of things. You got to take ownership. I thought 10 p.m. was a little too late to start a live show. Travis was willing and he was down, and I canceled on him. And I have woken up every morning regretting that decision ever since. Talking with Travis was my favorite things to do. So I respect his. Travis is going to be on here very, very soon, very, very soon, and that's on me for canceling that show. I thought it was too late. A little side thing, and again, doesn't really matter. Again, I'm taking ownership, but like UCF Jaguar does a live show during the Jags game, and out of respect of UCF Jaguar, I don't want to go live when UCF Jaguar is live. Like that's just like I don't want to do that. So his show was going to go until 10:30 p.m. I wasn't going to take viewers. I didn't want to compete with viewers with him. So it just made sense for me at the moment to not do a live show with Travis. I don't know retrospectively if that was the right decision, but I do know that I want to get Travis on as soon as possible. That's how much I respect Travis. So his YouTube channel is the Duval Dive. Go follow him, subscribe to him. If you probably already do on Twitter, to be honest, Travis, because he's that good. So that's on me. That's on me. He says, Little Robinson and Cole Van Lanen in their last year, and Foster developmental piece. Such a weird makeup where they'll be forced to draft another one next year. Well, that's kind of what we talked about. Like if you can move Anton over to the left and you like Cole Van Lanen and you can bring him back as a rotational piece next year, and Cole Van Lanen becomes your Walker Little, and you can draft the right tackle in the first or second round, because I can't imagine you having very many needs next year because of the way we drafted O-line, linebacker, corner, and skill position receiver. I can't imagine you having that many needs next year. So a right tackle could make sense next year. And you could let Little Robinson walk and free up a lot of your cap. Good point, though. Exactly. People want Cam out of here, but like I've been saying, it's hard to find a good left tackle. You either have one or you don't. Walker physically is a monster of a man. Just when he gets in the game, Roland, I'm never like impressed. And like offensive line's a weird position where it's like if we don't notice you, you're doing your job. I get that. But there are linemen out there that you notice. You notice Anton Harrison. And like for the downfalls that Cam Robinson has, you notice him on plays. You're like, oh, Cam Robinson just pancaked that dude and flexed on the sideline. You notice that. Walker Little, I don't think has had a single moment like that. And when you're looking at your bookends that are protecting one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the league, I need you to have moments like that. And the counter argument would be move him to guard. He looks worse at guard. So like Duval Dive said, we're in a tough position with the offensive line. And the tough position is that we've invested in the offensive line in free agency and the draft, and it still isn't up to our expectations. That's the tough position that you're in. But we're not the only team that has offensive line problems. There's a lot of good teams around the NFL that are good, and their offensive lines are question mark. The Texans, they're elite at every single position group, I would argue, outside of offensive line. So, like, it's not just a Jaguar problem. It's a problem throughout the league. That's what I would say. I love seeing the spin move from Travon Walker. Oh, okay. I'm glad you brought that up. I'm glad you brought that up. Great job, Robert Harrington. I love when people like get out in front of me here. The spin move here. Like, this is how powerful and strong Travon Walker is. Is like, I've watched a lot of Travon Walker, not just with the Jags, but with Georgia as well. And his initial bull rush is typically what knocks offensive linemen off balance. On this play, it's his spinning elbow that knocks this dude off balance. I'm not even going to show you this view. I don't even care. Okay, let's go to the end zone view here. Watch Travon Walker's spinning elbow completely knock this right tackle off balance. This is a rare thing to see amongst DNs. Watch it. Watch this. Bam. I mean, his spinning elbow knocks him off his line. Can you imagine being in a street fight with this guy and he's spinning elbows you into oblivion? We have a Devin Lloyd sighting, by the way. Watch this spinning elbow. Bam. Yeah. Nice try, buddy. Great call, Robert. Absolutely great call. I mean, I'm really backed up on comments here. Jason, remember to take himself off full screen for the film. The deep into the stream. See? Listen. The problem is, Shay, is like, I'll go a long time being good, and then I'll just have a bad episode. So definitely like and subscribe. I mean, we're an hour and 40 in. And like, the only reason why I am thinking about ending the show is because I have to piss like a racehorse. I'm beating. There's probably one thing you're beating Travon in, and we're not going to talk about that on this show. Okay. Some people don't believe me in O-line. Like me, mobile quarterback power. Not sure what you mean there, Chesney. Wasn't someone supposed to remind you of something at the 50-minute mark? How was it? Oh, yeah. You're right. Okay, hold on. You're right. Okay. Thank you. YouTube, search. Hold on. Give me a second here, boys. Third and teal. Okay. This is what it's supposed to be here. This is what it's supposed to be. Okay. This is the YouTube channel. It's not bad. All right, now this is what we call a 10 personnel, right? 10 personnel here. We have 4 YouTubers in the chat. We have Isaiah, we have Trevor, we have Jags United, we have Eric. And they're going to run your basic YouTube channel personnel here. They're going to run the 1x3 here. And we're going to talk about Stack Up or Falk Off, episode 27. Listen, these guys are starting up their YouTube channel, or it's a podcast and YouTube channel. Just go follow them. I mean, listen, the show is called Jags United because we want all base 4-man front. Because we want all people to be good at. We want them to have fun. Listen, I do this because I have fun. Okay. These guys are in the same boat as me. All right. So go subscribe to their channel. All right. And show them some love. All right. Show them some love. Like, we're all Jags fans. I had a great time talking to him. One thing I called him out hard on was his name. Like I said, Mr. Talk. Mr. Talk maybe spoke for, I'll give him, this is an hour episode. He probably talked for 4 minutes. 4 minutes. But I will say, though, because we're late into the show and I can say whatever I want. Anyways. I don't know if it was on stream or off stream, to be honest. I don't know if Lonesome, chill out. I don't know if it was. The Riz face. I love it. I don't know if it was on stream or off stream, but we talked about why he got this name, Mr. Talk. And he said, because he used to do, hear me out, and you guys know me on this. He used to do a podcast where he talked about sports and politics. I was like, whoa, wait. You did what? He said, yeah, I talked about sports and politics. And I was like, Mr. Talk, why on earth did you talk for only 4 minutes? I was like, you realize, like, these are my two passions in life. You realize that, right? And he was like, oh, yeah. And I was like, dude, my goal in life is to play the moderate devil's advocate, and whatever political belief that you believe, I want to try to make you think about how there's people out there who may think differently. And when you critically think, it either reinforces your viewpoint politically, or it makes you kind of see things from another person's point of view. Both things are good. Both things are good. But enough ranting about that. I'm not going into politics right now. Go follow them. Third and Teal. That's the name of them. You'll see it up here. Just go follow them. They're good guys. It was fun. It was fun. And I haven't watched it yet, but yeah, that was it. That one got me. That one got me pretty good. All right, let me just see if there's any more clips. I'm going to end this show here pretty soon. Let me just see if there's any more clips that I wanted to show. We didn't show any of the run plays, so I'll just show these really quick. I mean, I'm not going to break them down, but this was encouraging to see. This was in the first, when the starters played. This was a good run here. It was a good kick out block by Sheriff. I know we hated on Sheriff a lot. We did. But look, watch Sheriff here. He's going to kick out block. I mean, it was early, but I mean, it's backups. But I mean, hey, he did it. He did it. So take a look here. Brian Thomas Jr. even gets involved in the blocking. Oh, no, he does the reverse motion here. I'll take that. I'll take that all day. I'm not worried about that. Here's another run. Probably more ETN, but got it. Turf monster. Still a good run. Still a good run. Another run here. ETN. Man, ETN really gets skinny in those gaps. He really does. Like, when he gets the ball here, I mean, this is what we're talking about running back vision. You got one option, two options, or three options. Okay. So this looks like your best option here. You probably don't want to go here because Sheriff is getting out leveraged, unfortunately. Cam Robinson does a good job sealing here. Cleveland's not getting a push, but he's at least fully engaged and has squared up his blocker. And you got Mitch Morris, who's going on a linebacker. ETN makes the right read. When you look back at it, he should not have gone to this gap because Sheriff did not do a good job blocking. You could probably see a little jersey here, and you could probably call holding here. Probably could, depending on the ref. This would have made him stutter step, which who knows what would have happened there. He picks the right gap. He gets in there. He gets skinny. Great job. Hits it with speed, too. That was like week 1 through 8, Travis Etienne right there. So we just need him to do that like throughout the whole year. I like that. It's a miracle that we made it an hour and 50 minutes without a piss break. We got a cat grooming itself in the background, right? And it'll attack me here, right? Bladder of a pregnant woman. That's messed up. DJM, sports and politics, you say. We know you support the Jaguars, obviously, but who are you voting? Oh, a voting question. Okay, I'm comfortable answering this. I'm voting for the person that best helps America. You think I'm going to tell you? Come on. I couldn't host a pod because I already took 2 piss breaks. I don't know. Tonight, like, you know, sometimes like when you're under the lights and you got to perform and you're like, you know what, this is my moment. And you just like, you just come in clutch. That was today. And to be fair, like I said earlier in the show, I got home late, and like typically I have a pre-show routine. Follow me here, boys. Typically I have a pre-show routine that requires me to take a piss break around an hour. I didn't have time for that piss. I didn't have time for that pre-show routine, so I could hold it a little bit longer. Let's hear it, Chesney. Let's hear it. I mean, you've been here. I respect you for that. Listen, I respect opposing fans. I don't care if you're a divisional rival. You want to talk football? I'll talk football with you. I appreciate that you're here. The big cat. Oh, yeah, she is big. She's a big girl. But to be fair, tuxedo cats get big, and I do overfeed her. So she is a big cat right there. I'm pretty confident I can take an educated guess on who you're voting for. Well, you'd probably be wrong. You might be right. I don't know. I'm voting for John Cena. Ow. Come on. I feed you every day. What do you consider help for America? You know, the things that, that's in America's interest as far as economically, foreign policy. Those would be the two things that I look for. Domestic policy. That's what I look for in help. You even looked like a politician when answering that. Well, thank you. But listen, here's the thing. I'll be honest with you guys. I'm very moderate. I'm very moderate. Like, I'll be real with you. Like, if there was ever a politician who was a moderate who could garner the support of one of the two parties, I would vote for them. Because how on earth do you dig your heels in the sand and align with every single policy that one party believes? Like, how is that a natural reaction? Like, even as Jags fans, like, we're hardcore Jags fans, okay? And we still break down the fact that, like, the O-line's maybe not that good. The DBs maybe need some help. We should have added an edge rusher last year. The safeties are young and experienced. That's critical thinking. These people that get aligned politically, they're like, if Trent Baalke says we're good, then we're good. And I'm going to fight you if you say anything otherwise. Can you imagine feeling that way? We don't do that in football. Good show, good film. BT's out. BT's like, oh, you're talking politics. I'm out of here. I'm absolutely out of here. She likes to bite you. Well, she's, I wasn't home all day. So, like, she's like lacking some like play and things like that. So I don't blame her. She doesn't usually bite me. I gave a Ronald Reagan answer. He gave Ronald Reagan. Listen, don't get me started on Reagan. Like Ronald Reagan, say what you want about trickle-down economics. You can argue that all you want. I think who really kind of ruined the Reagan administration, his reputation, was his wife, Nancy. His wife, Nancy, came in and wanted to push all these things that were super unbeneficial to America. Don't let the first lady or the first man, if Kamala gets elected, don't let your spouse get involved in policy. I'm sorry. We're not voting for your spouse. We're not voting for your spouse. And like, I know they want to be seen and get involved, but we're not voting for them. We don't know what they know or who they are. So Nancy Reagan, I feel like, got a little too involved. 9-8 for the Titans. I think that would be, I said earlier, I think the AFC South is actually a lot more competitive than people think. I could see the Titans winning 9 games. Like, I genuinely think, and I could be wrong, but I think Levis actually takes a big step this year. I mean, I know D-Hop's got his injury, but like with Ridley and when Hop comes back, and I think Okonkwo is a lot better than people think. I think they're a better team than people think. I really do. I wanted to vote for Kanye. I saw he just had to have his first show in a long time. I watched like a TikTok video about it. I wish I would have been there for that show. I looked kind of sick. Oh, then I know who you vote for. You don't know, Steven. You don't know. Because even if you like, it wouldn't matter because I could debate either side. I can be a liberal, or I can be conservative. I see the point of view. I would actually go on a limb and say, depending on how you were raised and your upbringing and what you saw and your perspective actually shapes your voting preferences. And there's nothing wrong with that. But just because I grew up differently and had a different perspective and saw things differently when I was growing up doesn't make me a bad person. It just makes me someone that has different priorities. So why are we attacking people like they're the enemy when they have a different perspective? That's all I'm saying. So not voting for 10,000 dreamers a day coming across the border. Now listen, this is me. Listen, I'll make an argument for immigrants. You don't think I can do that? Are you kidding me? You don't think I can do that? Okay. Who do you think does all these farming, construction jobs? A majority of those jobs are done by immigrants. And natural born citizens aren't taking those jobs. And in fact, when you see a decrease of immigrants in the country, you see a decrease in those jobs. So if you want farming and there's a certain amount of construction, you need some immigrants to come to do that. We got to be critical thinkers, boys. Like, it's okay to understand they have a point of view. Okay. Now, do we need to give them health care and a place to live? Let's get them a job, and then we'll then go from there. Jason for president, make mid the norm. It never will happen. It never will happen. People have tried. People have tried that. I'm not the first moderate to come along. Okay, you can't get the financial backing if you're a moderate. Yeah, no, that's fair. Jason, you can sing me. I did have a little summer project. Ben brings up. I had a little summer project. I had a lot of free time over the summer, and I had a little like creative spurt where I like wrote some songs. I know I've been a musician my whole life, as you can tell by my background. Been a musician my whole life. I just wrote a few songs. It's actually in the video description. I'm not ashamed. Check them out. They're not good. I don't think they're bad. It could be something fun for you to do. I mean, what else are you gonna do? You've watched me for 2 hours. Come on. I saw Cephas cleared waivers. Say no to drugs. Robert, that's ironic coming from you, but I will honestly say it. Say no to drugs. Drugs will not help you in life. There may be a certain point in life where you're retired and all this responsibility. You could maybe reevaluate it. But I think for the most people, drugs aren't going to help you. Caffeine's a drug, but I don't think we count that. Really will pretend to be hurt after every drop, no doubt. Dude, these comments are coming in wild, and this is late in the show, and now I do kind of have to piss. Politics is a nasty business. Real talk, though. Government is not a popularity contest. AMA, NPA. Vote for policies that benefit you and your family. You can't live off of the ideals and dreams. I agree. And when it gets tough is when there's like one candidate. Like, look, let's take something. Let's take one topic again for critical thinking's sake. You could be pro-abortion, right? Like I'm not a guy, or I'm not a woman. So what am I going to say? Am I going to tell a woman that they do whatever they want with their body? But then you could also be like more of a capitalist, and you feel like for the economy that like government intervention typically isn't good. So if you're on both sides of those spectrums and like you kind of feel strongly about those, like the two people you're voting for are like way on the opposite sides. Or it's like, okay, you got a free market capitalist, but then they're all these, and then you have someone that's like pro-choice, but they're like way all these things. So it's not set up to help Americans, and that's our problem. And that's what I'll preach till I die, honestly. Nancy, the head doctor. What presidential candidate do you think gives the best chance for the Jags in the Super Bowl? It's a good point. It's a good question. Okay. Again, just critical thinking here. All right. I think one thing that gives the Jags, I'm going out on a limb here. Don't assign me this to my political identification, or don't judge me off of this. This is like the first thing that came to my mind, but hear me out. This is how creative I can be to argue either side. If you think about a presidential candidate that can keep the tax laws the way they are, Florida being a no state income tax, the Jaguars allure a lot of free agents to Florida, Jacksonville, because there's no state income tax. What would help the Jags the most is a presidential candidate that will allow Florida to stay low taxes and allow them to get free agents. Because if I'm offering a free agent $40 million and California is offering a free agent $40 million, so you got the 49ers, you got the Rams, then they're going to make more money in Jacksonville. BT, if you like me, President, I'll ensure a national holiday every month. I feel like there is almost one, but how about a 4-day work week? Will you ensure a 4-day work week? Because then I would vote for you. I love that we disagree so heavily on the Mayo Messiah. That's fine. And again, I can't give you. That's what's tough here with my argument is that's what would make me tough. That's what makes it tough for me to argue for Will Levis is like the stats and the analytics don't back me up, and the only thing I have to go off of is like my eyeball test. And there's like I just feel like he does things and has traits and qualities that I look for in a quarterback. Like I talked about, big strong arm, can make deep throws without being on balance, pretty good in the pocket, and can manipulate his arm angle. Those are things that I look for in a quarterback, and I get it. He hasn't shown much, so it would be tough for me to debate that, but I would point to that supporting evidence for why I think he may be better than people think. I was wondering who was going to make that joke long, John. If you don't know what I mean, that I don't know. I'm so backed up. Let me go back. Oh. Division is the goal. Only trade drugs for guns. Immigrants are literally building the country at the moment because we don't want to do that. I'm a musician. Nice. Me too. Me too. Well, check out my I have my music in the video description. Check it out. You can leave a comment. I don't care if it's good or bad. I have thick skin. I think the immigrant situation is more complicated. I know these people struggle because my family is Cambodian after surviving the Khmer, forgive me for the mispronunciation, rogue, and the Pol Pot, do it the legal way. And that's what I've heard a lot of people make that argument. Definitely. It's very complicated. Like, listen, I'm not trying to undersell it. And again, all these issues are super complicated. Jason, you're a freaking musician? Need to make a Jags anthem. Put that Colts guy to shame. Yeah, right. The last thing I need to do is make a song that goes viral for being terrible. That's the last thing I need. I lived in Oakland, Oak 30 in one trailer, and they worked 8 hours a day for $15. They put that money together for food and the rest of the families in Mexico. Still waiting on my one-hit wonder. Me too. NPA is non-politically affiliated. Yeah. Honestly, and I don't live in Duval County. I grew up in Duval County my entire life. I'm 35. For 29 years of my life, growing up, I lived in Duval County. I bought a house in St. Johns County. And if you don't know much about the geographic region of Florida, St. Johns County is actually the most red county in the state of Florida. So, although I am an NPA, I would say, like, policy-wise, my vote, I still vote. But either way, wouldn't matter. Like I said, my county is the most red county in the entire state. Okay, this did take a turn. And we're 2 hours, dude. We're 2 hours. And I have to piss. I have to piss so bad. If I didn't have to piss, I swear I would stay on longer. But I do have to piss so bad. Trump was office when ETN and Trevor went to the White House. In my country, Russia, it's a dictatorship and politics barely exists. So if you compare it, it's good to have election conversation. Nice, skunk man. I like that. I like that. Y'all whack. There's a difference between immigrants and illegal immigrants. Let's try to make it a fun night. Let's make a bet. If the Jags go 17-0, Jason, you're getting a mohawk. UCF gets a mullet, and Jordan got the beard. You're the most normal guy on the podcast. A mohawk? Can it be like a reverse faux hawk? Because I would agree to that. All right, we are 2 hours in. This sets the record for the longest Jags United live show of all time. So I, again, would love to stay and talk. I'm loving these conversations, but I got to piss, and I don't want to come back. So I'm going to go do that. I appreciate you guys, and I love you guys. Thanks for listening to all of this. We'll end it on this comment right here. This show sucked. We'll end it there. He said, just kidding. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. I will see you guys on Friday night. Oh, I'll see you tomorrow night on Club Jaguar. So UCF Jaguar. Make sure to go follow Third and Teal. Let's show them some love. I want to support everybody. I really do. I want you guys to do well. I really do. If you're a Jags fan, especially. So go support them. I love you guys. I mean, what time is it? I don't even know. 11 o'clock. I'll jump on Twitch for a bit. So hit me up. I'll be on Twitch. It's in there. Check out everything that's on there. Cali Jag sighting. I love it. You're savage. Am I Darnell Savage is the question. Love you guys from the bottom of my heart. Thank you guys for being here. This was a great and fun show. Like Reth said, leave a like. You guys are awesome. I appreciate you all. I will see you guys on Friday night and tomorrow night, Club Jaguar. But until then, as always,